Most people do not fear silence. What they fear is what silence reveals. When the noise disappears, when the messages stop, when the room finally goes still, something unsettling begins to rise to the surface. That is why so many people keep themselves surrounded by noise, by company, by constant distraction. They are not always running toward others because they love them. Sometimes they are running toward others because they are afraid of what they might find if they are left alone. The fear of being alone is one of the oldest fears in human life. It is not just a modern discomfort, and it is certainly not a small one. Human beings are social creatures by nature. We are shaped by language, belonging, companionship, and recognition. To be cut off from all of that for too long is not a light experience. In extreme cases, isolation can break the mind. It can warp perception, weaken the self, and push a person toward despair. That is why solitary confinement and exile have existed for so long in human history. Even ancient societies understood something modern people often try to ignore. Isolation is not always peaceful. Sometimes it is unbearable, but the fear we face today is usually not the fear of total isolation. It is quieter than that, more ordinary, more hidden. Many people are not afraid of being imprisoned alone in a cell. They are afraid of an empty evening, a quiet weekend, a train ride without company, a meal eaten by themselves, a few hours with nothing to distract them from their own thoughts. And that raises a deeper question. Why does solitude feel so threatening to so many people? What is it exactly that we are afraid of meeting in the absence of others? Many thinkers have suggested that the fear of solitude is not really a fear of being alone at all. It is a fear of oneself. In daily life, we are often protected from ourselves by routine. We work, scroll, speak, respond around other people. Our social persona comes forward naturally, almost automatically. We become the version of ourselves that can function, adapt, and be accepted. But when the outside world goes quiet, that performance loses its grip. Then the things we normally keep buried begin to surface. Regrets, insecurities, anger, grief, self-doubt. Old wounds we never dealt with properly. The parts of ourselves we have tried to outrun do not vanish just because we are busy. They wait. And in solitude, they often return with more force than before. As Nietzsche wrote, it is what one takes into solitude that grows there. The beast within is not necessarily created by solitude, but solitude gives it space to speak. This is why solitude can feel like a threat. It strips away the social masks. It removes the noise that usually keeps us from hearing ourselves clearly. And once that happens, a person is left with a choice: either face what is inside or flee back into distraction. Some people can endure that confrontation. A few can even use it to become stronger, wiser, and more integrated. But many cannot. For them, solitude becomes a mirror too sharp to bear. This is one reason so many people cling to relationships, friendships, and social contact with such desperation. Not always because they love the other person deeply, but because they cannot bear to sit alone with themselves. As one writer put it, one man runs to his neighbor because he is looking for himself, and another because he wants to lose himself. That is a devastating thought, but an accurate one. Sometimes what we call companionship is actually escape. There is nothing wrong with wanting connection. Human beings need it. We are not meant to live in total isolation, but there is a difference between healthy connection and dependency. When the fear of solitude becomes too strong, we begin to lean on other people in ways that are not loving but desperate. We ask them to carry the parts of ourselves we have not learned how to carry. We expect them to complete us, stabilize us, define us, and rescue us from our own emptiness. But no relationship can bear that weight for long. No human being can become everything for another human being. When we demand that from someone, we turn love into dependence. And dependence, no matter how affectionate it may look on the surface, often hides resentment underneath it. The more we expect another person to save us from ourselves, the more fragile and distorted the relationship becomes. This is where the danger becomes more subtle. If we cannot tolerate solitude, we may become overly compliant in relationships, always adjusting ourselves to avoid rejection or abandonment. We bend, we please, we suppress, we become whatever seems safest in the eyes of the other person. Over time, this can create what the psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott called the false self. A version of the personality that is not fully alive, but organized around what other people seem to want. This false self is not a lie in the simple sense. It is often a survival strategy. It forms when a person learns that being accepted matters more than being authentic, but the cost is high. When we live too long in this way, we begin to lose contact with our own desires, our own emotions, and our own truth. We become easy to like perhaps, but difficult to know, even for ourselves. Winnicott believed that the capacity to be alone is essential for growth because solitude allows the false self to weaken and the true self to emerge. When there is no audience, no pressure to perform, no need to adapt, something more real can begin to appear. A person can rediscover what they actually feel, what they actually need, and who they actually are beneath all the performance. Modern psychology often treats relationships as the primary source of meaning. And of course, relationships matter. They shape us deeply. They can heal us, guide us, and give us love. But it is a mistake to believe that human connection is the only path to maturity. There is another path, and it is often overlooked. The relationship with one's work, one's inner life, and one's own thoughts. Solitude is not just emptiness. It can also be creation. When a person spends time alone in focused creative work, something remarkable happens. In trying to shape a piece of writing, a piece of music, a painting, a business, or any meaningful project, they are also shaping their own mind. They are imposing order, discipline, patience, and form not only on the work, but on themselves. This is why so many great creators were drawn to solitude. They understood that isolation, when chosen willingly and used wisely, can become fertile ground for self-discovery. Fyodor Dostoevsky said that solitude for the mind is as essential as food is for the body. That is not an exaggeration. Solitude gives us room to think without interruption, to feel without performance, and to grow without constantly adjusting ourselves to the expectations of others. In solitude, we begin to build an identity that is not borrowed, not copied, not dependent on applause. We become someone who can stand on their own feet. And from that place, our relationships become stronger too, because we are no longer using other people as substitutes for a self we never developed. But solitude is not easy, and it should not be romanticized. Nietzsche saw its danger clearly, and Goethe once wrote that there is nothing more dangerous than solitude. That danger is real. If we are unprepared, solitude can expose our weakness, our fear, and our inner chaos. It can feel like a descent rather than a retreat. It can be uncomfortable enough to make people rush back into noise, just to escape it. And yet, there is a deeper truth here. The benefits of solitude are often hidden inside its dangers. It is only by voluntarily entering that space, by staying long enough to face what is difficult, that we can gain the strength solitude offers. If we always flee the silence, we never learn what it contains. But if we remain slowly, patiently, we may discover that the very thing we feared was also the thing we needed. This is how solitude becomes a training ground for self-command, not by making us emotionless, but by making us less dependent on constant external validation, not by turning us away from people, but by helping us stop using people as crutches for an unstable self. Over time, the person who learns to be alone may develop something rare, a quiet sovereignty over the self. In the end, the fear of being alone is often the fear of meeting the truth of who we are without distraction. That is why solitude can feel heavy. It removes the escape routes. It takes away the mask. It makes us listen, but it also gives us the chance to become more authentic, more grounded, and more whole. We do not need to reject relationships to value solitude. We do not need to glorify loneliness to understand its importance. We only need to remember that a person who cannot be alone is in danger of never really becoming themselves. And a person who can face solitude and even learn from it may discover something far greater than comfort. They may discover themselves. Thank you for watching.